On July 28th, there is a new moon in Leo making a lucky trine to Jupiter, which is going to be completely overshadowed by the fact that Mars, Uranus, and North Node are all meeting in Taurus at 18 degrees. This is such intense energy, and if you are hit by this aspect, it could propel you forward on your life path with a new opportunity. And that's the best way to use that energy, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you today about the Leo new moon. It's at 5 degrees of Leo. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. At the same time as this new moon, we have a conjunction between the North Node, Mars, and Uranus, plus Mercury will be squaring this stellium, and so that's a lot of intense energy. The most intense energy is going to be felt from July 28th to August 2nd, but this type of energy could reverberate in your life for months or even years. So let's break this down. Mars is the planet of action. This is how you express action in your life. Uranus is the planet of sudden change, and that's where you can change direction, but also where you might crave freedom, where you want to do something different. And then the North Node, which it represents your life path, and that's the direction that you're heading so that you can learn what your soul needs to learn. And it's the whole reason why, we're here, we're going through these experiences is so we can learn and grow. And so the North Node guides us in that direction. So now Mars moves on a 2-year cycle, and so it conjuncts Uranus a little bit more than once every 2 years. And because Uranus is also moving, Uranus moves on an 84-year cycle. And then the North Node, if we add that together, that moves on an 18-year cycle. And so this is a super rare aspect, and I can't do the calculations. I don't have the math head for doing that, but it's something where we take a 2-year transit with a 84-year transit and add in an 18-year transit. Maybe somebody could do the math for me. That would be so great. But I will tell you now, this is a very rare occurrence. So if we just look at the Mars-Uranus conjunction, this is some explosive energy where we want to do something different. We want to take action in a direction that's going to lead to our freedom, where we can personally express ourselves, where we are not bound or limited by something or someone else. Now we throw in the North Node, which is life path, and so it feels so crucial that we need to do this, because this is basically the universe saying you need to look at what you're doing, the actions that you're taking, and if that is not helping you go express your life path, that you need to break free of what it is that you're doing. Now, as I said before, there is some very intense energy from July 28th to August 2nd, but the decisions that you make during this period, and that's really what's important, is the decisions you make, that energy is going to reverberate for months or years to come in your life. So that is, you might make the decision that you're going to live somewhere else, or change your relationship, or change your career. So, and you may or may not make that actual change during this period. It's more likely you would if you're directly hit by this 18-degree conjunction. So, but if you're not, you may just make the decision to make the change, and then there is that energy of the Mars-Uranus behind it propelling you forward. So during the specific transit between July 28th and August 2nd, you may feel very impatient. You may feel very antsy and restless. You may have a strong desire to take some sort of rash action, no matter what the consequences are. And so, of course, I'm going to caution you to say, be aware that rash action doesn't always lead to good results, but also be aware that everyone around you is also feeling this aspect, and so that people can be very unpredictable at this time. And so if you start to see a situation around you brewing that looks like it could go out of control, it's a good idea to move away from that situation as quickly as you can. So when you are thinking about this energy, such as in a career sense, you may feel very compelled during this small window to quit your job. But if you don't have the infrastructure in place to get a new job or to keep yourself afloat while you're looking for a new job, that would be considered rash action, right? Or the same thing about a relationship. You might be wanting to break free of a relationship when maybe things could be worked out if you talked about it, or maybe, agreed on some sort of change. So looking at how you are going to go about making the changes you want to do is where the North Node comes in, because the North Node says that this is your life path. So it doesn't have to all occur over just a 5-day period. Now, if you're watching this video, you are very spiritually minded and you are going to operate at a higher octave than perhaps a person who's not so spiritually minded. And so this means that taking time to meditate on this energy. If you feel restless, take a walk and allow the movement of the walking to help your meditation, or actually do some journaling so you're actively doing something. If you feel like you have to get up and you're pacing, you might want to maybe talk your journal entry into your phone so that you can have this energy of movement help you discern what the changes are that the universe is suggesting. So I want to talk for a second about life path, because I hear from many clients and students that they are searching for their life path. And I think why they're saying that is that they are meaning that they expect to feel that when they're on their path, they're completely comfortable, they're completely happy. And that's actually not the case. Oftentimes when you're on your life path, it's hard. It challenges you because you're in a process of growth. It's sometimes when we are feeling the happiest and most comfortable is that point of rest where we take a little break from our life path. So it's more about choosing something that you're going to do and then finding the lessons within that. And so life path can be something that's very spiritual, but it can also be something that is more mundane, such as a job or a hobby that you do, but is actually adding to your spiritual growth. I had a client who was a personal organizer, and she was feeling like what she was doing was so superficial and not recognizing the value of what she was offering her clients. And she said that she wished that she was able to really heal and help people. But I pointed out to her that this was such a great first step for a lot of people to take things out of a closet and process, why they made that decision, or what were the circumstances going on in their life when they had purchased that item, and was it time to release that? And she started to see how what she was doing was really important work, not just for her clients, but it was also helping herself process her own emotional issues and find her way through things. So oftentimes we so unconsciously find our spiritual path without even realizing it. And it just takes us pausing and saying, how is the current situation helping me grow? What am I supposed to be learning from my current circumstances? And then if you truly feel that there's nothing else to learn, then it is time to move on. Then it is a point where you've been too comfortable, you are too complacent in this job or relationship or house, and it is time to then go search for the next lesson. So now that the North Node will come under this light of Mars and Uranus, there's this energy to propel you forward. And so this is the time during this 5-day period to really assess if what you're doing is causing growth in you, if it's helping you on your spiritual path. And oftentimes there is still a reason for you being in a place. And if some external circumstances are coming along to dislodge you from that place, like losing your job or losing your place to live, it's the universe stepping in saying, that you didn't notice before that it was time to go, and now we're going to help you move forward. So and that's something where if you embrace it, if you say, okay, I'm going to be actively looking at where I can go, what I can do, and be focused on moving forward towards growth, then you're going to find that the universe helps you along the way, that the universe will pick you up and carry you to the next job or the next home or the next relationship. Now, as a spiritually minded person, you are sensitive, you're aware of what could trigger you, the things that you are still working on. And so while the world is doing this very erratic energy, you might want to avoid large crowds of people, and that again is between July 28th and August 2nd. You may just want to, again, if you see something that's kind of getting out of hand, just turn and walk the other direction. So just give yourself some space away from the erratic energy that could be happening during this time. And then, as I was saying before, this energy is so completely overshadowing this new moon, making a trine to lucky Jupiter, that I think that that's just going to be so overshadowed. But if you can consciously bring that to the surface, and that is to have artistic expression, emotional expression, to take risks in an area that involves creativity, and so that is to do art and music, and to look at the world with this eyes of joy, like a childlike innocence of, saying, wow, look at, the trees are in full bloom and there's still flowers, and, like stuff is happening and it's growing. And while the news can be so terrible, there's also so much beauty still in the world, and so much joy. And so go and find that and add to that, and that helps the whole world. If you're really interested in Life Path and the North Node, there's a great book on it called Lunar Nodes by my teacher, Diane Rongren. I'll put a link to that book in the description. And if you love the spiritual language of astrology and spiritual arts like the tarot, I've done some video courses. I've done Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart. And hopefully by the time you see this video, my tarot program will be out. I have a program on reading tarot the natural way without using a book, and really being able to pull a depth of information and detailed information from the cards. And so this program will be done very, very soon. Again, every day I get closer to getting it done. And so thank you for your patience, all of you who've already emailed me about it. So as we go sign by sign, remember we are doing tropical Western astrology. You want to look at your ascending sign as well as your sun sign. Your ascending sign is going to tell you more about what's happening to you in your life, and your sun sign is going to give you more information about where you should go spiritually, what you should be thinking about. And also, I do readings, so if you're interested, there's a link in the description. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of creativity with the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction happening in your house of money, which means that you really want to break free of something related to money. And that might be your possessions. You might want to get rid of all your possessions and move into a tiny house, or just throw everything in a backpack and just take off. Or you want to change how you deal with money completely and radically change your money situation, where maybe you are living paycheck to paycheck, or maybe you're not keeping track of your money, or maybe the thoughts about money are just consuming your life, and so you're wanting to break free of this. And so this focused energy for you is shifting how you look at your sense of deserving, and if you have a money issue, then it is looking at a radically new way to deal with money. And I often talk about how questions are what really trigger the information that we need. And so look at the questions you've been asking yourself about money, and then shift them to questions that are more helpful. And a question that might be more helpful is, how can I make an extra $100 today? Or how can I make an extra $1,000 this month? Or what is a completely opposite way of dealing with money that I've never tried before? Or what is a new way of looking at money and deserving that I've never thought of before? Like, when you ask yourself those types of questions, your brain searches for answers and connects with your higher self, and you will get information. Now, when we look at your relationships, especially new love, even though Mars is not making an aspect with the sun, the new moon is there. And so that, along with the Mercury, which connects to the Mars, says that new love can happen. This means that this is a great time to go out on a first date, to reach out to someone that you have just met and see if a conversation can happen, and to tell friends and family that you're open to meeting someone. So over the next 2 weeks, you have a great opportunity to start up something new. Now, when we look at your existing love relationships, Venus is making a sextile to Mars. So there's an opportunity to get a closer relationship happening. That means that just through a little bit of effort on your part, because you're the one doing the sextile, that you suggest maybe having a dinner out or some private time to talk, or just shutting off the TV and saying to your partner, how are you doing? Let's chat about this. And so by taking a little action, you can make this a stronger, better relationship. Now, when it comes to home and family, even though Mars is not making an aspect to the moon, Venus is there. And so it looks like things are pretty nice and calm at home, so that things are going well, that your energy is needed elsewhere, specifically in that area of money and sense of deserving. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, the aforementioned Venus, that is in that house of home and family. So that might mean looking at family patterns and seeing how you are maybe replicating problem behavior, or how you could, what's the word, where you do something like someone else. My vocabulary escapes me at the moment, but you emulate, thank you, someone who does money well. And so this is also where money issues may start at home. That is, that instead of running off to a bank or talking to your broker, you're going to first work on budgeting. This may also mean some opportunities dealing with real estate, a family business, or buying land, which I guess technically is real estate. When it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual, as Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto. And that is probably because you're working at the core belief system around money, or the infrastructure of how you take care of money, or maybe selling off possessions because you have too much stuff, or figuring out what is worth buying and what's not worth buying. So you're making a steady amount, but the real gains from all the work that you're doing are going to come outside this 2-week period. When it comes to your money from a career, so like a paycheck, Venus is making a sextile to Uranus, so there is an opportunity for you to gain more money over the next 2 weeks from your job. Now, it may come with extra responsibilities because you've got some difficult energy around it, but more responsibilities can mean learning new things, adding to your skill set, which will give you lines on your resume to get you a better job in the future. So, you have to weigh this. This is a sextile, so it's an opportunity. You will have even easier energy coming up in the future, but right now, this energy still is good. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. This is where the new moon is, so you might be very interested in a new business opportunity or some new creative project. However, the sun is not making an aspect with Venus right now, so we're not seeing you able to gain profits, but more just continue to work on this endeavor, or just get it started. And maybe because you're just getting started, it's too new to actually get money from yet. So the energy is good for working on it, but the profits are going to come outside this 2-week period. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this new moon in your area of home, family, and foundations, and the very intense energy of the Mars, Uranus, and North Node in your own sign. So this is very personal for you. There is some energy here that is asking you to look at your life direction and say you could be moving forward with more confidence. It is time to believe in yourself. It is time to see yourself as the person who could lead the way in your life. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting a fake it until you make it sort of energy. It's okay as a presentation to someone else to tell them that you're feeling confident, but confidence really comes through practice and preparation. And so working behind the scenes as much as you can to get ready for the new job, or to make a decision, to look at the pros and the cons, and to move it out into the future so you can see how it would unfold. These are the things where you can gain confidence. Additionally, you can do an affirmation of sorts where you pull from things that you did in the past where you were confident and where you were correct, and you can say, these are the situations where I did well, and you can use that now to go forward. So what's really needed with this Mars, Uranus, North Node in your own sign, it is about radical self-acceptance. That means forgiving yourself for the past. If you don't like where you are, look at what you can change and then move forward with confidence. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a semi-sextile to Neptune. So this is as you are growing, like if you're looking for love, as you are doing this personal growth work, suddenly the lock on the door opens and you will start to meet people. Now, they may not be your ideal match right away. This is, again, baby steps towards what you want. But if you think you're doing everything you can spiritually to move forward towards relationship and you're not finding someone, then I would say go back and look within, make some shifts there, because it really may be you who have locked the door and are leaning against it, preventing love from coming to you. Now, a semi-sextile is not the best aspect you can get. So this will certainly line up to be stronger in the future. The semi-sextile is just to show you that the changes you're making are going to bring you some small results now. And that's a sign that you're heading in the right direction. When it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto. And because you are doing so much in your own sign, it's hard to be working on that relationship while you're working so much on yourself. So, and also as you start to change, even gain more confidence, even be more sure about the direction you're going, this can be quite disruptive to your partner, who may react out of nervousness or fear or wondering what's going on. So give them some space, allow yourself to make these changes, and you're going to come together in the future and be able to talk about it. But if they don't seem so completely supportive of that right now, just create some space and just say, you know what, that's okay, because change can be quite disruptive for people, even if it's somebody else doing the changing. And then when it comes to home and family, this is where the new moon is happening for you. Venus is not making an aspect with the sun. And so, again, you may have the same reaction from your family, that everybody's saying, like, now you're changing. And especially for you guys who are Taurus or Taurus rising, because you tend to be what everybody expects as always being the same. Change is something that doesn't happen a lot for Taurus energy. And so when you do change, it's so noticeable. So friends and family, or specifically for this is family, they may be wondering what's going on with you. And so if you don't feel like they're going to be completely supportive, you may want to work on things behind the scenes a little bit until you are ready to tell them the changes that you're planning. Additionally, because you have the new moon there, that something new is going on at home. So this might mean that you are moving, that you know about the move, and that's going to be the change for you. And so you're unpacking, or you're still looking for a place, or you're packing stuff to move. So there could be something new going on in the house. When it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Mercury, which initially does a square to the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction in your own sign, which means tons and tons of activity, that as you work on yourself, as you make a change, you will immediately get opportunities. Now, these opportunities they could range from anything from basic financial things like a job, a business opportunity. There may be a real estate opportunity. There could be some sum of money that comes to you. You might find a few pennies in the street. Anything like this is going to show you that you're starting to make changes and the universe has noticed. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual, as Mercury is not making an aspect to Jupiter. It's more likely you are getting ready to do something new and different, and so that hasn't translated yet into direct profits. So perhaps you're doing a product launch or you're starting into a new investment, but it's just not time to take profits yet. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, which would be like a paycheck, Mercury's making it in conjunct to Neptune, which means that you could ask for a raise, but there's going to be so many strings or obligations attached to it, it's just not going to be worth it. So you might want to wait for a better aspect, which is going to take a little while. It's going to be a few months before you get the good aspect. However, it really could be worth it. Now, you may be offered more money in the meantime, and there will be some strings. So if you don't see those extra, the extra work or obligations, you have to ask for that so that you don't sign something and then get surprised by it. So just be a little careful if somebody's offering you more money in your job. And finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Mercury is making that square to this huge conjunction. And so this is the possibility of you finding an idea that's such a breakthrough, or you deciding that you're going to pursue your art or pursue your music, or you do have the possibility of looking at buying a franchise or starting a business with someone you know well. So there's a beginning of something happening here. There is the potential to get on a path that could really do something. And then if you want, like if you already have a lot done on this, like your novel's written, this is a great time to launch. This is an extremely powerful time to launch. It's almost too powerful. You might be a little overwhelmed by the response. I don't mean to say that's a bad thing. It is just that this energy is just really powerful. And so you may want to talk to your astrologer about the exact timing on this to see if this particular aspect would benefit you by launching something at this time. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this new moon in your area of communication, as well as thinking process, and then this conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and North Node are in your house of spirituality, and also your shadow self, where you find addictions or distractions or an escape. And so there may be this idea that you have that there are parts of your life that you really don't like, that you do want to change, but you may not know right now what to do about that. And so instead of working the problem, you are running towards an escape. And that is, a distraction, or just watching a lot of Netflix or playing a video game. Or you may feel that you are in a cycle of addiction, and so you want to break free of that. So either of these is helped by asking yourself good questions. And with this new moon in your house of communication, you might want to do some journaling or some talk therapy, where you can get the ideas that you have out into, out of you. And either whether that's on paper or where, so you can hear it. And so you can start to discern whether that's a good idea. But also you might want to do some sort of dopamine detox where you are putting down your phone, unplugging from the video game, maybe turning off Netflix for a month or so, just so you can remember the things that you want to do and what you want to focus on versus, just, the next video and, the next. So for you, for this 2-week period, your key thing is to make a radical change in your daily life. All right, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury, which means you could meet someone and there's something interesting about them, but they're not an ideal match. There's some things to overcome. And that could be that they live at a far distance, or that there's age difference, or maybe you're sensitive to height and there's a height difference. So there's something that you're saying is something that you need to work on to really make this relationship work. And so you could wait until there's a better aspect, but it's always nice to meet new people. And so you might want to, investigate this a little bit and see what's going on. When it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Mercury and Jupiter. So you do have this energy of something new happening in the area of communication. So maybe a new communication is starting between the two of you. But there's so much introspection going on for you that I'm thinking that you're more focused on working on yourself, which I think is a good idea right now, and leave the relationship to be whatever it's doing until you have made some of the breakthroughs that you're going to make over this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to home and family, even though there's no planets in that house, you have a great deal of activity because Mercury is making a square to that Mars-Uranus North Node. That is some really intense energy, so there is possibly a big decision that you're making about where you live or about your relationship with one or more family members. So this might mean that the family is coming together tighter than ever, or that there are some family members, because of differences that you have, that you need to create some space from. So if you are feeling that you need to be more free, this is probably the area where you are either free to move the family or you're free to be away from family. And this is something where, as you work on yourself, as you get on your life path through creativity and through expression, I think that you will be able to come back together. But right now, you are probably looking for a little bit more space. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that new moon that is in your house of communication. And so that does mean that new ideas are popping into your head like all the time. You may have more ideas than you know what to do with, and so write them down, because then later you'll have time to take action on these. So it also does say that there may be something that you do want to do that involves transportation or communication in some way. So I do think quite a few money opportunities could come to you over this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to traditional investments and your own business, the moon is not making an aspect to Saturn, so you're making about the same as usual. Again, there's so much going on behind the scenes. Maybe you're working on a new project, but you haven't launched it yet. Maybe you're just busy on other things that, your investments and your business are just humming along as usual, but there's not really a big, something exciting happening over this 2-week period. And when it comes to money from your career, like a paycheck, you do have Jupiter there, and that is helpful, but there's no aspect going on between Mars and the moon. And so it's more likely that right now, asking for a raise is not going to get you more than we would like to give you one, but we can't at this time. You're just going to get some excuses. And so you might as well wait until this energy lines up. It's possible you'll get more hours, and that could slightly increase your paycheck. Or with that Jupiter, that you get some sort of small win, maybe a small bonus or something, win a prize. but to get a substantial increase is challenging at this time. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. The moon's not making an aspect with Venus. So Venus is in your house of money, though, and it rules that house of risky investments. So we do have a connection there, but the connection's a little tenuous. So I think that there is a small chance. So we're taking a risky investment, which is already a long shot, and then we're adding to that another long shot of making something. So I think a few of you Geminis or Gemini rising out there could have a win, but this isn't certain enough. There's not enough here for me to say, yeah, this is going to happen, so you should push forward. If anything, I would caution you not to spend more money on this investment if at all possible. Try to think of creative ways of having a stronger position in this investment without spending more money. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of money, possessions, and self-worth. And you're doing the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction in your area of the community, friendships, as well as technology and the future. So if we look at this idea of the future, you might be hearing a lot of things in the news and becoming nervous about the direction the country is going, or inflation is going, or society is going. And yet if you're a student of history, you will see that a lot of the things they were talking about have occurred in history and they are survivable. Not to mention just what we all survived in 2020 and 2021. So part of the self-worth and deserving piece is to understand that, you are very valuable in this world. You're valuable to your friends and family. You're valuable to your job. And so you are deserving of this place in the world. That doesn't mean that you can't work, that you shouldn't work hard at things and that things take effort. They do. So when we see that Mars-Uranus North Node, maybe some of the effort is in this area of building community. And so that is to go out and meet people and connect with them and find people who you care about, who care about you, and to build together this community. Additionally, this is in this area of technology. And so if you are struggling with technology, it's, and I get it because technology is so big, it's so vast and all that. So you might say, where do you start? But if you think of technology like a language, then you could approach it that way. In other words, you wouldn't sit down maybe to learn Greek and memorize a dictionary. You would more be looking at learning phrases and specific things to get along maybe on your trip or to communicate with a specific person. So the same thing is true in technology. If you ask yourself a question of how do I do this specific thing, then you are only looking for that answer and you can learn technology quite quickly. And so that might be, how do you record a Zoom conversation, or how do you put contacts into your phone, or how do you edit a video? Like those sort of things. And even how to edit a video, that might be too big. You might just say, how do I put a title into a video? So the bottom line for you is to look at building community, building friendships, looking at maybe reaching people through means of technology, and looking at your future with more optimism, knowing that you as a person have already survived many things, and as a soul has probably survived much more than that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's not making an aspect with Pluto because this is not really your focus. It's not a focus to meet specifically new love, but more to look for friendships, and maybe love will grow out of a friendship. And so if that's what you're looking for, then go meet many people, have coffee with many different people that you may not consider for a relationship, but that something still could emerge, maybe a close friendship or maybe a love relationship outside this 2-week period. And when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's not making an aspect to Saturn. And so, again, your focus seems to be elsewhere. It seems to be out into the community, or you are working on self-worth issues yourself. And if you work on those two things in combination, like if you work on the sense of self-worth and deserving and find a way to accept yourself and love yourself, you are going to then find more people are stepping up to show you love and appreciation and want a connection with you. And then when it comes to home and family, we have some quiet energy down there too. The energy seems to be quite peaceful, not so much going on. If you are doing something that is change, if change is happening, it's like you have it all figured out, like you know the steps to do. And so it's just step 1, step 2, step 3. It doesn't seem disruptive at this time. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from the sun in that house of money. It is sitting there lighting up your house of money, which says there are money opportunities for you. That means that it's time for you to maybe make a list or ask yourself questions like, how can I make an extra $100 today? How can I make an extra $1,000 this month? What are business ideas I haven't considered? What would be an idea for a passive income source I haven't considered? Like, ask yourself good questions and you will get quality answers from your higher self and the universe. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual. You have a good money house, but you may be working on new projects and those things haven't come to fruition yet. Maybe you just got into the investment so you can't take profits yet, or you're launching something new and so people, they might be buying it, but you're not getting the paycheck quite yet. So I think you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Venus, you're doing some extraordinary energy right now because you have this Mars, Uranus, North Node conjunction in that house, plus the new moon in your house of money. So we've got a great deal of energy going on. This probably means that you can get a promotion. Maybe the actual raise comes outside the 2-week period, or you're getting a new job and you are discussing your salary, doing some negotiations for that, plus perks or stock purchases or things like that. So something really big is brewing here. I don't think you're seeing the money quite yet within the 2-week period, but I think that you'll either get the promise or the paperwork will be started or something can happen. So you do want to sit down with your boss or start negotiating with this hiring manager to make this happen. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. The energy is very much still that you're working on things. I think that because there's no aspect going on between Sun and Pluto, but the Sun is in your money house, you're getting a new idea. So you're just at the beginning parts of this. And maybe that is that, you have an idea for your album but you're not yet producing your album, or you're producing your album, but it's not time to launch yet. So I think the new ideas are happening now, but it's just too early for you to be making the profits. Okay, Leo, this is your new moon, and this marks the beginning of your lunar year. So this means that actually for the next 4 weeks, you need to plant as many seeds as possible. That is, do new things. And that can be new relationships, new activities, new hobbies, new things for work, starting new businesses, anything where you're even starting to consider doing something new. And so if you're thinking about moving, this might be that you start to look at the different neighborhoods you would like to move to, or if you want to move to a foreign country, what is the paperwork involved? So planting a lot of seeds brings a big harvest. So you have about 4 weeks to try new things. And if you feel stuck, like if you feel like you don't even know what to do, then take something that's very mundane, very everyday, and change that up. Change spaghetti sauces, take a different route to the grocery store, or go to a new grocery store entirely. Go to a new place to get gas for your car, like do something new. Small things could lead to big things. Now, when we look at the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction, it's in your house of career. That means that something big could happen to your company. so that maybe there's a merger going on, maybe your company's not doing well, and so there are layoffs, maybe there is some huge expansion going on, so there can be quite a bit of disruption for you in the area of career. So the first thing to do is to ask yourself if you're seeing the signs of that, and if you are, then it's time to prepare your resume or go to your supervisor and get more information to see if your job is actually at risk. Now, there is a flip side to that, that your career could be opening up into some extraordinary opportunity. If you've already been working on this, this might mean where your business gets some great publicity and suddenly things take off, where somebody wants to collaborate with you, where a position at your job opens up for you to slide into, where you get a bigger team and more money. So there is something really positive that can happen, and you want to kind of look to see and ask yourself those questions about what you know about what your company is doing. Look at the company financials, look at your industry, and look at the org chart and say, all right, what are the opportunities here? Overall, what you are supposed to be doing is looking at radically changing how you believe in your own capabilities, because your capabilities are extraordinary. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, the sun's making a beautiful trine to Jupiter, and you have an opportunity to meet someone new. Now, it's so funny that when you are doing so much in an area of career and reputation and all that, that's when love would come along. It feels like when it rains, it pours. So, but there is, if you're looking for this, you could meet someone who just lights up your life, who really is, just a nice match for you. And so I think that if you are looking for love, this is a time to have a first date, meet some new people, tell your friends and family that you want to meet someone. They could fix you up with someone extraordinary. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationships, now the attention's not so focused on that. There's no aspect between Sun and Uranus, but the new moon is in your own sign. So this is more about you working on yourself and how what you do affects your relationship. How are you following old patterns that you need to break? How are you doing things in the same old way that is giving you just the same results? So, but you're more focused on what you're doing rather than focusing on what they're doing. Because if you focus on what they're doing, you're not going to make as much progress. So this would be figure out what you can change, and then they'll just magically change by themselves. I know that sounds funny, but it does work. Now, when it comes to home and family, the sun's not making an aspect to Pluto, and there's not really a lot going on in that house. So this, again, is more a time to be focusing on you, how you're approaching things with belief in yourself and confidence, and then let the things at home or issues with family just rest for a while. Like, you don't need to follow up on those or get stressed about them. If there is some stressful thing going on in the family, you might want to step back and allow others to work that out. And then, after this 2-week period, then you can jump in. Now, when it comes to your money, you have some amazing opportunities because you are pulling energy from that Mercury, which is making a square to that Mars-Uranus North Node in your house of career and reputation. So this is maybe one of the biggest aspects I've seen for you, not just this year, but maybe in a couple of years. This is a gigantic opportunity where people may come to you with business ideas. You may be offered something that is a fantastic, but way out of your comfort zone. And so again, this all comes back to believing in yourself, believing you can figure things out, believing you can handle things, believing you can take on the responsibility that this is suggesting. So there's some big opportunities. And of course, if you're not seeing these, then ask yourself different questions. Ask yourself, who can I collaborate with? What's the bigger project that I can work on? Or what's a bigger plan that I can work? Instead of starting a side business, how can I make, what's that old saying? How can I make my monthly No, how can I make my annual income my monthly income? I think that was Bob Proctor who said that. So how can I make my annual income my monthly income? That is a great question to be mulling over at this time. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury is making an inconjunct to Neptune. So there is more profits that you can get, but the cost might be too high. And that is that maybe there is some sort of business opportunity you can grab, but it's so much extra work, it's not going to be worth the money. Because most of the things that we're talking about for career and business for you are new ideas. So this would be something that is, like an existing customer who's maybe a lot of trouble, or they're asking for something very special. And so that would take a lot of tinkering or changing up a system or something like that. So I do think you can make more money than usual, but you seem to be working harder, and it may not be a huge amount more than usual. So, but I think that your focus needs to be on something new, bigger projects, something that maybe completely releases you from some sort of burden or some sort of trap that you have been in when it comes to your money. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, now you have really big opportunities because it's that Mercury making that square to the Mars-Uranus North Node. So this is your time to go to your supervisor and say you want more money. If you own a business where you kind of work side by side with the employees, sometimes we will see that as an 11th house experience. And so that it might be time to raise prices. It is definitely a time to be looking for a new job. If you want a new job, this is your time to do it. A lot of places are looking for jobs. You have more negotiating power now, so you could get into something that you really like and that pays you more money. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. There's no aspect going on between Mercury and Jupiter, which means that there's not profits to be taken at this time, which is probable because something new is happening. You're starting this new 12-month cycle. And so it's probable that you just got the idea, you just started it, or you just started to write your novel. It's not ready for you to make profits yet. So just keep at it, that these planets will line up in the future. Okay, Virgo, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of spirituality, intuition, as well as secret plans and escapes. And then you're doing Mars, Uranus, and North Node in your house of travel, adventure, education. It's, to me, feels like when I pull this combination together, like you're planning your escape, so that you are looking for a way to make a radical change in how you live your life. So this is such an interesting combination because it feels like you are ready to break free, that you are ready to do something different. But this is going to start with how you believe that the world works. Is this something where you have to do everything perfectly and then you get some sort of prize at the end? Or is life meant to be experienced and that then it's okay to take some risks? And I think that with this energy pulling at you, which might be that you have a friend in a foreign country who says, come join us here and experience this, or a friend who says, if you travel to us, we'll put you up, we'll feed you. And so maybe there's something that way. Maybe you are thinking that more education is what you're needing, but you can't afford school, but you do find that all the information you need is for free on YouTube or very low cost through courses. And so like everything is there, but then that new moon energy in that house of escape and distractions is, instead of escaping to do some adventure, is escaping into the same old routines. And you are kind of waiting for some sort of sign to, or invisible hand to take you to the new place, to almost force you to do it. And which, if that happened, you would be very upset if you were forced to do it. So this is a time to ask yourself questions of, not how to do something, but why not to do something. Or, like if you are at a certain place in your life where you have less obligations and have less connections, then maybe doing something radically different is, it's easy. But if there's other people involved, maybe you feel you're locked in because of commitments that you have, then what else can you change? Or could you get together with these people and change together? And so some of this is looking at co-creating with the universe, and because that would activate that new moon. And so co-creating means that you tell the universe what it is you're looking for. The universe presents you with different lessons that you would have to learn along with the gifts. And that's how the co-creation works, where you're both working together to make something happen. So I'm feeling like for Virgo, this is a little too, high concept and not giving you the practical information that you so love and you're so good at. So, but I think that breaking this down into manageable steps is your key to making this happen. And that is, if you were going to, get an education in something or move to some place across the country or in another state or at least another city, what are the steps you would take to make that happen? Then meditate on those steps, pray about those steps. Instead of using that 12th house to escape, look at it as planning your escape. So overall, your lesson over this 2-week period with this huge conjunction is radically changing your beliefs about how the world works, how your progression in life should be, basically how you're going to write the story of your life. So when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making an opposition to Saturn. So there is an opportunity to meet someone new, someone who is connected to you in some way. They're going to have some things that are very different than you, but there's going to be some core things that are very intriguing, where there is some, like it's like a partial twin flame. It's like somebody who maybe speaks like you do or loves bowling like you do, but they also have some differences about them. And so those differences can make the relationship very interesting. And then when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making an inconjunct to Neptune. And so there's some energy here that says that you and your sweetheart are working something out. And it's possible that you're saying, I want to make a radical change, and your partner is saying, I don't know if I want to as well. Or if they are also Virgo or Virgo rising, they also want to make a radical change, but they want to make a different radical change. And so there is some adjustments that you'll need to make on either side. And so because this is your chart I'm reading, you need to start with the adjustments. How can you meet them halfway or adjust some of the things that you're wanting to do, not let go of them entirely, but adjust some of them so that they're a little bit more comfortable with what you're deciding. Now, when it comes to home and family, it's interesting because Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter. So a lot of this that's going on is your own decision happening where you may not yet be involving the family. So you're more in research mode over this next 2 weeks. I think that this is just you having the idea. As I said in the opening, the implementation of this idea may take months or even years to happen. It is your decision that could be happening over this 2-week period. So, and specifically over that 5-day period, again, that I was talking about in the introduction. So this is something where it seems to be going on internally within you. And even if you think your family knows about it, they don't really know about it yet. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is in your house of money derived from career. So it's likely you could make more money in your career over this 2-week period. Now, it's also possible that you might get some ideas for doing new things that are career related, that are within what you do already. So like different derivations of what you're doing, or you may be offered some job that is something within your skill set that you already know how to do. Now, when it comes to money from traditional investments or your own business, Venus is making a sextile to Mars, plus Jupiter is still there. And so you have some great opportunities for making more money than usual. These are all based on you taking some sort of action. So that might be collecting money that is owed to you, or cashing in an investment, or that, something where you are doing a business where you are, doing a promotion or something like that. Maybe you're even raising your prices, like many people are doing these days. But something is bringing you more money than usual over this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, even though the moon is not making an aspect to Venus, the Venus is in that house. So there is, as I said before, an opportunity for you to make more money in your job. So it is okay right now to ask for a raise or things. The only thing that I see as a possible problem is that maybe they're going to call you back into the office, or that they haven't seen what you've been working on lately because you've been working on a project that either isn't completed or you've been keeping it to yourself. So you may have to tell them, about what you've been doing, what your accomplishments are, so that you can get this raise. And then when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. And so this is a time where you're more thinking of the idea, you're having the ideas. And I'll tell you, if you make some sort of radical change in your, just what you're doing on an everyday basis, you're doing, you're exploring school, you're thinking about moving to a foreign country, that's enough to elevate your higher self to a point where other spirits, other souls can see you. And then opportunities can come to you. But right now, you don't have a direct connection with the money that is involved in this riskier investment and your bank account. So the money might be there, but it's just not time to cash in right now. Okay, Libra, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of friendships, community, as well as the future. And then we see that Mars, Uranus, North Node, all in your house of resources. I should say resources, power, intimacy, like the truth. So when we pull this all together, this is indicating that through community and connecting with more people, you will gain, of course, more resources. People's knowledge, people wanting to invest in you, people who care about you and want to connect with you. So we do see some new connections happening when it comes to, friendships, etc. But your point of change here, the point where you're looking for freedom, might be around debt, obligations, where you feel powerless. And so a lot of this is about shifting the dynamic to a place where you understand where you do have power, what you have control over, and taking that time to do it. And that might mean that if you've had trouble paying your bills on time, that you find a way to automate the bills, or you make some negotiations so that the bill comes in at a time where you actually have the money. This is about you exhibiting more control over investments, so you're not just tossed around by the gyrations of the market, but that you understand that ups and downs in the market bring buying opportunities, that ups and downs in the market are followed by periods of calm, and then there are buying opportunities. Just taking the time to understanding more about what's going on, especially when it comes to your resources. So overall, this indicates you gain benefits when you make a radical change in how you see power. And that is that you have more power than maybe you were thinking you had. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a lovely sextile to Uranus, so there is an opportunity to meet someone new. This person will be a little quirky, a little different than anybody you've ever dated before, but they could be really fun, and so they're worth meeting. It's also that Venus is quite elevated in your chart, so you are easy to see. You are seen as attractive, your charisma is high, so this is a really good time to meet someone new. And when it comes to your existing love relationship, Venus is making a sextile to Mars and Jupiter's still in that house. So you have an opportunity to have a closer relationship with your current partner. And that is, you can discuss things. You might use that Mars-Uranus North Node to shift the intimate side of your relationship so that there might be a change there that you feel, is exciting and is beneficial to both of you. So you have really good energy for your existing love relationship over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to home and family, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. So we're not seeing that as the big focus right now. So extended family members or dealing with the household itself may not be what you are focused on. And so that is if you're in the process of doing maybe renovations or something, maybe you're at the tail end of those renovations, or maybe you're just at the very beginning, the planning stages, so the renovations haven't started. But it looks actually fairly quiet in that area. Now, when it comes to your money, you have not just that Pluto in the 4th house, which has been there forever and is going to be there still for at least another year, but you are doing that Mars pulling money energy, and it's part of that Uranus and North Node. So this says do something that's big, launch something, tell people that you're going to do something, start a business, look at investments, find something that you can do, because as you get this started, then extraordinary things can happen. Now, this doesn't say to just run off, and do something just to do something. But if you've been thinking about doing something, if you've been planning something, it's time to launch this thing or to find people who are going to support you in it, because Mars is in your house of resources. So find somebody who knows how to help you with a website or knows how to get you funding or do a crowdfunding thing. So there's so many different ways that you can collect the information that you need to make something happen, and this is your window. Now, when it comes to traditional investments and money from your business, you're making about the same as usual, and that is because most of the things that you're doing are going to hit and bring profits outside the 2-week period. So this is more about having the ideas or launching something, and then the payments come later. Or you are finding something that is an investment and it's a good deal to buy, but it's too soon to actually be taking profits. So this is, there's good energy here. Your money sources look like there's change going on, but the change is positive because you are empowering yourself to take positive action. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, so like a paycheck, you have a great house because the new moon is there, the Venus is very elevated, Mercury is there, and it's making a square to all that stuff going in that house of resources. But there's no aspect going on between the Sun and Pluto, or Sun and Mars. And so this means that whatever deal you're striking, you're getting paid outside the 2-week period. Or that there's something so new, again, that the paycheck's not reflecting it yet. So I think a lot can happen and that there's promises happening. Maybe the paperwork is started, but it's just, you don't have the money quite in your hands yet. So when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. While Pluto is not making an aspect to Uranus, Mars is making a conjunction to Uranus in a money house. So money houses are coming together in a money house. So there is some big opportunity. So this might be the time to launch your album, to launch your novel, to send your screenplay off to someone, to show your art portfolio to someone, to direct message someone, to say, I love your videos, I want to edit videos for you, or something where you are connecting with some powerful person to do something you want to do. There's also, of course, you might be negotiating to buy a business or to sell your business. Some great things could be happening in this area too. Somebody might suddenly come in and say, I want to buy your business, and you can negotiate something when you weren't even thinking about selling. So something big could be happening with regard to this type of investment over this 2-week period. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this new moon right at the top of your chart in your area of career and reputation. This can bring some new opportunities when it comes to career, so that could be very exciting. But you are doing that Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction in your house of relationships. So that's the area where you may be feeling trapped. You might want to be breaking free, or you might be doing something that's radically different. And so maybe you're dating and you suddenly want to run off and get married. Or you are deciding about friendships or partnerships. Business partnerships is also ruled by this house. So there may be some area where you want to make this big change. So I think that where you start is by defining what it is you're not receiving in the relationship that you're in, and seeing if you can talk to that person and connect with them and say, this is what I need, where I'm feeling unloved or unheard or unseen. And it's possible that the other person is not going to acknowledge that, and that might be a sign for you to move on. Maybe to a different friendship, maybe to a different partnership. But this time right now with this energy is very much about making a decision, not necessarily about taking some huge action. I know there's going to be such a desire to take action because you are co-ruled by that Mars, and when it hits the Uranus, you might say, that's it, I'm ready to do something. But this is a time more for making a decision and then taking the careful steps, as Scorpio is known to do, to make the change happen. So overall, you are benefiting right now by really examining and maybe making radical changes in your attitudes about the relationships that you have or about relationships in general. So then when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, of course, Pluto is making a sextile to Neptune. That energy is continuing for you. And so there is just this constant opportunity for you to meet somebody new. If you are alone and you don't want to be, you can meet someone new. It is time then to use this Mars-Uranus North Node to take your shoulder off of the door, stop blocking the opportunities that are out there for you, and allow yourself to go out with someone who you may not feel is a perfect match, but just to get into the routine of going out with someone. You can always become friends or, acquaintances or help each other out in some way versus, just saying it has to be perfect. Otherwise I'm not going to date. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, but it's such an intense house. So there may be some discussion or some things that are happening, and you may not feel right now like you're able to have the conversations necessary to move things forward. So it feels more like over this 2-week period that you maybe start the conversations, but it doesn't come to a resolution yet. Or you are seeing the problems in the relationship, but you haven't figured out what the solution is. Now, when it comes to home and family, you have some really intense energy because your co-ruler Mars is making a conjunction to that Uranus. And so there, again, where we see changes going on, this could affect your home or the bigger family unit that you have. Perhaps that means you're moving. Maybe this is something you're just deciding. Maybe you're in the process of moving already and you're having to get everything together and get it packed and get to the new place and get it unpacked. Moving is such a big endeavor. And so, or maybe you're thinking about doing some sort of difference in the lifestyle where you're downsizing your house, or you are, moving into an apartment, or you are pulling together with other family members to buy a house. So something big is shifting, and the kernel of that, the beginnings of that are happening in this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Jupiter, which is making that wonderful trine to the new moon, which is elevated in your chart. And so you have some great opportunities that are possible through making more money, through your job, through your own business, through investments, through just money coming to you through activities that you're doing. This is a trine, so these opportunities should appear for you, and so you can just scoop them up. So be on the lookout for what can make you money over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual. It looks like you're working more hours and that something new is happening. Maybe you're launching some new product or you've just gotten into investment. It's not quite yet to take the profits on that. So I'm thinking that you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money from your career, I would say that with this energy, a new job is quite possible, and then you'd be negotiating for more money. There is a possibility that the extra money would come outside this 2-week period, and so that's why we're not seeing it yet. If you are looking to ask for a raise, it is quite possible that they are going to suggest that you work more hours or that you take on more projects. So you'll have to weigh that to see whether that's going to be worth it. And then when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Jupiter is not making an aspect to Neptune at the moment, but it will be. So as we get closer towards the end of the year, then you're going to have lots and lots of opportunities. So right now, it's just basically business as usual. Keep working on things, keep working on your art portfolio, keep working on your side business, or if you're doing negotiations to buy a business. All of these things aren't showing you the profits yet. However, they are showing great progress. So that's what's important right now. Okay, Sagittarius, you guys are doing this new moon up in your house of travel, education, and adventure. And then that conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and North Node are in your house of daily routines and work. So what we're seeing is that maybe you're going on some sort of short trip at this time, and it is just giving you a whole new perspective about things. Or maybe you're planning a trip, or perhaps you did some sort of video course, and now you have some brand new ideas. And then where we're seeing this desire to make a shift is either you may be thinking that you don't like your job, or you don't like the hours, or you don't like that you have to go into the job. Maybe you want to work at home, or maybe you don't like working at home. Maybe you want to go work around people again. So, so something's shifting about the job, or it's the daily routines, and that is that you have big plans, you have things that you want to do. You want to write or teach or create or something, but you're finding that you're procrastinating. You are not getting the things done that are making a substantial progress in your life. And so this is where you want to break free, maybe of routines that you already have. Maybe it's obligations that you have, or just a lifestyle that you've got that you want to shift. So this is a time where you may be looking at how you can break free and do something very radically different with your daily routine, whether that's getting up early or adding in exercise or something where maybe in the past you did it for a little bit and it didn't work. And I shouldn't say it didn't work. It's more about, like, if you did it for a little bit, you can go back to it and then try again and see if you can do it for longer, and then just keep doing it, going back and forth until it becomes part of a habit, part of something that you do regularly. One of the things that I notice is how long it can take to implement a new habit. I know they say, like 23 days or 44 days or all these different amounts. But sometimes new habits, they just mesh with us and we do them. And sometimes, you'll do a habit for a little while and then it seems like it dissolves and then you're not doing it anymore. And then you can come back and start it again. And that will help solidify it. Over this next 2 weeks, you basically really benefit by making a radical change in how you use time or how you do your daily life. Okay, when it comes to love relationships, even though Jupiter is not making an aspect to Mars, Jupiter is in that house. And so there is an opportunity for you to meet someone new, especially if you do change up your daily routine in some way, like, so maybe you're going out and working at a coffee shop, or maybe you're just being more social. Maybe you're doing some adventure and some traveling or something like that. So there's an opportunity to meet someone new for a love relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Mercury and Jupiter. So this is more that you're working on your routine, and this may shift the relationship in some way, but it's not a time where you're talking about it or it's affecting it so much. Maybe it's even that your partner hasn't even noticed that you're doing something different, or maybe the two of you are on vacation together, and so your routine is so disrupted that their routine's disrupted also. And so again, there's not really anything to talk about. And so there's harmony here, but it's not where you can really dig deep in the relationship to solve some problems. That's going to come outside this 2-week period. And when it comes to home and family, Jupiter's not making an aspect to Neptune. Of course, Neptune is in that house still. Jupiter will go back to that house at the end of the year. So we do see some opportunities are going to be happening where there's going to be a lot of interaction, a lot of things you're doing right now. That's not really happening. That to me says that, you know, whatever you're working on, you're just going to continue to work on. There's not a big radical shift of direction going on at home at this time. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Saturn. It does not figure very prominently in this chart. And so with so many shifts and changes going on, most of these changes are in areas of work, which may not actually directly affect your money in a 2-week period. This is also that there is so many changes going on in your daily routines that again may not affect your money right away. So this is more about being mindful, like keeping track of things. You know, that's one of the things that the Saturn is so helpful in doing as it's going through your house of communication, is to keep track of spending, keep track of when money comes in. Put your attention on how your money is expanding, and it will continue to expand. Look for investments, look for business ideas, and see how you can incorporate those into your daily life. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Saturn's not making an aspect with the moon. However, you do have Venus in this house, so it looks like you're spending some money on your business, or you're spending some money by investing. And so this means that maybe you're diversifying your holdings, or you're doing some dollar cost averaging, or now that the market is down a bit, that you're finding some bargains. And it's also possible that you are adding some equipment or some services for your business to expand your business later. So overall, when it comes to your business, I see you making about the same as usual over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your job and making money from your career, like a paycheck, Saturn's not making an aspect with Venus. And so, again, we're seeing that more of the benefits are coming maybe through a perk or something like that. So it's possibly some stock from the company is coming in, or there's, you know, like you get some discount movie tickets or something like that. But generally you're making about the same as usual. Now, that said, you do show some radical changes in the area of work. So this might mean that your work is changing, but the repercussions of it are outside the 2-week period. So your job could be changing. There could be differences in your team, coworkers coming in and out, you know, leaving, etc. So there are some changes. I just don't think they're happening in this 2-week period. And finally, when we look at risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. While Saturn is not making an aspect with Mars, Jupiter is still in that house. So you have opportunities to find out information, to continue working on the project or the business. It's not quite time maybe for a launch or to sell your business or to buy the franchise, but definitely time for negotiations, to learn more about it, to get into a routine about it, or to shift up a routine about it. So there's a lot of activity here, but the big win or the profits are coming outside this 2-week period. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of resources. It's also about power, control, and intimate relationships. And then when we look at the Mars-Uranus North Node, that's bringing change energy in your house of creative expression, offspring, so your kids, and also the things that you enjoy doing, like what brings you that happiness, that smile on your face. It might be that you're looking to do something different because you've been bored. You've been doing the same things over and over. But before I get too far into that, let's go back to that new moon. That new moon says that some new resources are coming in. This might mean you hear about a new investment, or that you have some new product or business idea that you are just starting to formulate. So that's some exciting energy. Someone may come in to support your business as well, or an intimate relationship gets really intimate. So, and then when we're looking though at where you're feeling like you need to make a change, it is in your house of children. So that might mean that you're very worried about your kids and the choices that they're making, and that you would want them to do something different. Maybe they're pushing back and saying they want more freedom. They're home from school, and so they were able to make more choices when they were at school, and now they're under your rule, and so maybe they're pushing back. This is about creative expression and having more time to do your creative work, or to take your job and turn it into your passion, your something creative that you could be doing. So there's a great deal of energy and focus in this area right now. And this would say that you benefit a great deal by making the radical shift of accepting yourself, trusting that things are going to work out, trusting your kids that while they're growing and going through this process, they will figure things out. This is very much about belief in yourself. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Saturn's not making an aspect with Venus, you do have Mars, Uranus, and North Node right there, which means that you could meet someone who just blows your socks off, but this person is so different, such a outside of maybe the type of person you've been comfortable dating. Maybe they are just overwhelming in their feelings for you. So you do want to make sure that you put a little bit of caution in this, maybe not run off to Vegas right during this 2-week period. Maybe just try to get to know them. And even though you may feel completely obsessed by this, or they're obsessed with you, to just recognize that these planetary aspects are going to dissipate. And then, then you don't want to do anything over this 2 weeks with somebody brand new that is super permanent. Can something be super permanent as opposed to just permanent? Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though Saturn is not making an aspect to the moon, Venus is there. And so we do have some harmony going on in your love relationship. There may be, like if you're dating now, maybe the relationship is getting intimate because we have that new energy in your house of intimacy. And so I feel like there's a good connection going on. But you may not be able to work out big problems. This is just a little bit more surface, that you're enjoying each other's company, you're getting along well, and the bigger problems that maybe are on the horizon, those are just going to wait a little bit longer. So they're just going to wait a little bit. Now, when it comes to home and family, again, even though Saturn's not making an aspect with Mars, Jupiter is there. And so there is some extra luck in this area. And that can help you if you're struggling with kids at home and integrating into a family again, or if you're looking for a new place, or if you're moving, you have a little extra luck right now. It's still going to feel like things aren't coming together easily because there's no aspect. So it's going to take a little bit more work and patience to get what you want done. But if you can give yourself that time and be patient with the process, then the luck will kick in and things could work out. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Uranus, which is conjunct Mars and conjunct the North Node. So there are some amazing ideas that you're going to have over the next 2 weeks, and you should write these down. People are going to come to you with ideas. You're going to see ideas online. Ideas are going to come from the universe. And you won't be able to act on all of these. You might be really enthusiastic about doing something right there and then, like quitting the job and running off to join the circus. But if you could just, note the ideas, write them down for now, so that later then you can start to flesh these out into a real plan. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, even though Uranus is not making an aspect with the sun, you do have an extraordinary house because the new moon is there, and Mercury, which is not conjunct the new moon, but is making a square to the Mars-Uranus North Node. That's all happening. So we've got a lot of energy happening for making some good decisions about business. Also, maybe you're launching something, you are maybe expanding your business, maybe finding new investments. Because there's no aspect, it doesn't look like you're taking the profits right now. So I think you're making about the same as usual, but the promise of future profits is very strong. And then when it comes to money derived from your career, you do have some extraordinary energy because Mars, which is the co-ruler of that house, is conjunct Uranus. And so that means that your raise could come through, a promotion could come through, some new job that you negotiate a higher salary could come through. So you have really strong energy for making more money than usual in your job. And so this is something you don't really want to ignore this. You want to see if you can get more money. And if you can't, to consider looking for something else, because it looks like someone could snap you up really quick and get you, in the new job. And so you could be making more money that way. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. I can only say wow, okay? So, because first of all, Uranus is making a lovely sextile to Venus. That's fantastic. It's in your house of partnerships, so you can find influencers or a mentor or someone who gives you information. And then, of course, the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction is happening there. And so there's something going on here about you finding your confidence and your belief in yourself to move forward on a project you're already working on. And that might be that your novel is 99% done. You just need to launch it. And, or you are thinking about showing your art portfolio or your video reel to someone for a job. Like, you've been working on this a while, and this could make something extraordinary happen. It might be that it's time to sell your business or to buy a business. So, there's something going on here that is big. And so this is where you should be spending the most energy meditating about it, really writing things out with the pros and cons, figuring out what your blocks are, figuring out why you're hesitating, and find the way through. So, because this is really interesting energy for you. Okay, Aquarius, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of relationships, and then you are doing the Mars-Uranus North Node in your house of home and family. And so that's where the big changes are coming. So there's something new going on with relationships, and that doesn't necessarily mean a new partner, but just maybe that you are relating to each other in a different way. But it also can bring a new partner or some new friend, somebody who maybe wants to mentor you or collaborate with you, or someone who is going to help you in some way. So that's a really nice connection. Now, down in this area of home and family, that also includes your dwelling. So maybe it is that you're trying to move. Maybe you're trying to, change the house in some way, and you can't find a contractor, or you have some repairs to do. It's also, though, that there may be some dynamic in the family itself that's changing. And so, that maybe someone wants to be seen differently, or they're going on a different path than you were expecting. So maybe somebody is moving in, maybe somebody needs to move out. And so there's a lot of shifts and changes going on. And this is, I think, maybe why you're showing something new in your area of relationships, because maybe when this person makes whatever announcement they make, maybe that will then start a new relationship, a new type of relationship that you have with this person. So one of the things that you want to do in this case is that you want to consider all possibilities. This is a time for just thinking about things. So the considering the possibilities is if somebody comes to you and says they want to be treated differently, then say, okay, say, I don't know what this means for me and how I should act, but okay. Or if you are looking to move and you're not finding a place in the area you were thinking, maybe to think very much in a different way. Could the house be a different size? Could it be a different location? Could it be something different where maybe you're renting, or maybe it's a duplex situation versus your own house, so something different in that way. So overall, this energy indicates that you benefit by radically thinking outside the box. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the energy is quite interesting because Mercury is making a square to Uranus. So you could meet someone that you just connect with so instantaneously that you feel like you've known them before. It's like now you're inseparable, and so it's just a sudden, strong connection between you. And so the way to meet somebody is to get out of the house, to go out on dates, to tell friends and family that you are open to meeting someone, because this is some really interesting energy for you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, of course, the new moon is there. And so, as I was talking about before, something could be new happening between the two of you. And so that could be, like maybe you've adopted a puppy, and so now you've got new routines that you're having to do, or you're interacting with each other in a different way. So, or if you are moving or changing the house in some way, or someone's moving in or someone's moving out, that can cause the two of you as a couple to be closer together in a new way. So there is some very good energy between the two of you, but it feels very new, so you may not really fully understand it right now. And then when it comes to home and family, we already talked a lot about that. I'll just add that Venus is making a sextile to Uranus, which indicates that things can work out in a very good way. It may not seem like it. Like when you're going into it, you might think, I'm never going to find a place, or, that person who's moving in, their stuff's never going to fit, or that, we'll never get past this argument, or I'll never find a good contractor. But it does work out. It requires that you take some action, because that's the way a sextile works. You take the action and then something good happens. If you wait for the other person to take the action, you miss the energy, the positive energy. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Neptune, of course, but also that co-ruler Jupiter, which is making that lovely trine to the new moon. So new ideas may be flooding in, and you want to write these down. Jupiter is in your house of communication, and so you want to do journaling or make lists, or any new ideas that come to you, and they are going to come from an outside source. So because that new moon is in your house of relationships, so somebody in passing may say something, or some influencer that you really like might give you an idea. And so write these down. You'll be able to start on the planning stages and then fully form these ideas in the weeks to come. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're not quite making as much as usual because the Mercury is making an inconjunct with Neptune. So there's some sort of outgo, or there's some sort of maybe extra investments or fees going on. Maybe some of the annual subscriptions that you're doing are all coming due. So you're putting out more energy right now, but it's all in to benefit the business. So money is still coming in. It just shows a little bit less than usual. So money is still coming in, but there's some sort of adjustments that you're having to make. And maybe that is to look at some of the subscriptions that are coming due and say, do you really need them? Or to, if you've been thinking about new equipment, or maybe even an investment to make, maybe say, all right, I'm going to invest, but maybe just half as much. So there are some adjustments maybe you need to make. Now, when it comes to money from your career, like a paycheck, Jupiter is not making an aspect to Neptune. However, Jupiter's making that lovely trine to the new moon in your house of relationships. So consider the relationship with your supervisor as a potential relationship. not a love relationship, but just a relationship. And so if you will consider that as an opportunity to ask about their family, connect with them on a more personal level, you have a better opportunity of getting the raise or getting more hours or getting something that benefits you from work. So see your supervisor as a person or a friend, and you can make a deeper connection with that person, and that can bring you more benefits from work. Otherwise, you just want to wait until this Jupiter-Neptune lines up again, which it will, and that will bring you more money. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Again, Mercury is making it in conjunct to Neptune. So this says it's time to adjust what you're doing. Maybe look at what you're planning to do and see where you're off track or where you're going to do better if you shift your trajectory. And so perhaps that is that, maybe we're doing, like you're making a movie, but maybe it needs to be cut down to be a movie short, or maybe you need to change the ending of the movie. Maybe it was good, but you kind of missed the message, or you now see a new message in it. Or perhaps you were looking at buying a business, but you need to go back in and do some negotiations, or to make sure that they have all their licenses in place or all their permits in place before you sign on the dotted line. So there's some sort of adjustments that you're making. The fact that you're making an aspect says that there could be a payday connected to this. So this is not something to ignore, but you either have to make some adjustments or you have to have the other party make the adjustments. So, but it's not just a smooth, everybody signs, you get the check and you get to go home. There's some extra work you have to do. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of daily routines, health, well-being, and your work. And then when we look at the Mars-Uranus North Node, that's going on in your house of communication. It's also siblings, neighbors, it's writing, teaching, learning. And so this is the main areas that are being hit for you right now. So if we look at the new moon, this is indicating that you're doing something new. Maybe you're taking up a daily practice, or you're adding more exercise in, or you're doing something that is helping your health and well-being. And so that's really good. So it's also, there may be some changes at work, but they're quite positive changes. You might get a new coworker that you like very much, or a coworker you don't get along with seems to move on to something else. So something beneficial could be happening at work. But when we are looking at the Mars-Uranus North Node and where you're trying to break free, where you're trying to make a change, is in the area of communication. And so this may be connected to how someone communicates with you. Maybe you're trying to change how they are communicating with you. And since we can't control somebody else, you have to look at it differently, or stop talking to this person if that's at all possible. And this may be that you are bogged down by communication, that you want to work on your art portfolio, but you are so bogged down answering emails and so drained by the constant communications, or that you get on the phone with your friend and you spend 4 hours talking and not working on your art. So this is a shift of communications, maybe looking at how you can automate emails, or finding some boundaries in the communication that comes to you. And then finally, of course, it's internal communication. And this is probably the biggest shift that you can make, is how you speak to yourself. And that is to treat yourself with love and respect and kindness, as you tend to do with everybody else in the entire world. Like Pisces, you can be so kind and so compassionate and so loving, and then yet hard on yourself. And that doesn't make sense. You know that when you are supportive and loving of others, that they can become their best selves. So give yourself that gift of being supportive of yourself, kind to yourself, forgiving of yourself. And when you do, you'll be able to do so much more. You'll have so much more energy. You will wake up in the morning and be happy because you are saying to yourself, okay, whatever happened in the past, I forgive you. I know that you can do better, and together we're going to do better. And so that's why this Mars Uranus North Node is in your house of communication. And so ultimately, this is about that you benefit by radically changing how you speak to yourself. Now, when it comes to love relationships, even though the moon is not making an aspect to Neptune, it's making a lovely trine to your co-ruler Jupiter, and Venus is in that house. You have an opportunity to meet someone new for a love relationship over this next 2 weeks. So let friends and family know. Go out on a blind date. If somebody has winked at you, wink back or start a conversation. Try to get a meeting. That's where, when you meet someone, that's where your two souls can meet, and you can see almost instantaneously who that person is. They can see who you are. And then if there is a chart connection, then yeah, you'll feel it. You'll feel it. So, and that's something, I'm going to digress for just a second when it comes to love relationships. And that is, you may feel like you keep looking and looking and not finding someone, but what you're really looking for is a chart connection. When there's a chart connection, then there's a connection. And because people don't wear their charts on their shirt, which, gosh, I wish they would, because that would be so helpful. But because you can't see their chart, then you just have to meet them. You have to go out on that first date, and then you can know whether there's a chart connection or not. And sometimes a chart connection is one-sided. Sometimes you'll feel it and they won't. You are looking for a mutual chart connection. So when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making an inconjunct to that Neptune. So there's something where the two of you are making an adjustment, and the adjustments can be hard. It may be that you are now embracing some new lifestyle and your partner's not quite there yet, and you have to be understanding about that. So, or you're embracing two different lifestyles, but you're coming together at home to connect. So, but there seems to be some bumpiness going on. It doesn't mean that this relationship is breaking apart. It more means that you have to work a little bit harder to find the happiness, because otherwise you guys are kind of irritating each other. And then speaking of irritation, there's some irritation going on in that area of home and family. So maybe this is some miscommunications, or again, maybe because you're doing something different in your lifestyle, but other people in the household are not, that you're feeling a little bit like, an inconjunct is still an aspect. And I like it so much more than an opposition, because I do feel it gives you the opportunity to work at something. So I think I've said this in the past. I see an inconjunct as you really wanting ice cream. You open up your freezer and there's only salmon. And so you can eat the salmon and try to be satisfied with that, or you can get in the car and go get some ice cream. So there's some sort of effort that you have to do to be 100% satisfied. So the thing to do is to look at it and say, okay, if I take a little action, I can get what I want. So that's what's going on at home. Now, when it comes to your money, holy smokes, you are pulling money from that Mars, which is conjunct the Uranus and conjunct the North Node. So the amount of ideas that you can have about new businesses to start, money-making activities, partners to have, connections you can make is huge. This is in your area of communication. So honestly, you should spend the next 2 weeks direct messaging anybody you want to work with. So find, people that you want to collaborate with, find companies you want to work for, send your resume out to them, communicate with what it is that you want to do. And in the meantime, also, or not in the meantime, but in the spare time, write down all of the ideas that you have, because you are going to have quite a few ideas. They will come to you in dreams. They'll come to you through other people. They'll come to you through videos you see and song lyrics you hear and just from the universe. So many different ideas you could have over 2 weeks that you could then flesh out and plan over the next few months. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mars is making a sextile to Venus, and that means if you take action, you can make more money than usual over the next 2 weeks. So you do have Jupiter still in your second house of money, and that means your spending might be a little high, and you do have to watch out for lifestyle creep. or business lifestyle creep might be it. So, look at your subscriptions, make sure you're not overspending, but you do show more money coming in than usual. Now, it's a different picture when we look at money derived from career, which is like a paycheck, and that is Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn. So now the Mars is, it looks like it's more geared toward ideas, and maybe your supervisor isn't really on board with those yet. Maybe asking your supervisor, maybe they're out on leave, and that's why they're so hard to find or hard to connect with. It's possible that this is just not the right timing for the company itself. Maybe there's a freeze going on, or they've already said that, we'll talk about this at the end of the year. So this aspect will line up in the future, but right now you're making about the same as usual. And then finally, when we look at risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. The moon's not making an aspect with Mars, and Venus is in that house. Now, that to me says that you are kind of thinking about spending money on this thing. And so from a risky investment, sort of like all our different categories for that would be like buying art supplies, or buying some software so you could edit videos, or paying for something so that you can move your big project forward. But this also could be that you are putting a small amount of money into some risky investments that either are leveraged or time sensitive. And again, this is more akin to gambling. And because you don't have an aspect between the moon and Mars, you have to make that time period outside the 2 weeks, because you don't show the profits within the 2-week period. So if this is super timed and it ends within this 2-week period, you're not going to make the profits. So be careful. But if this is investing in something to help a long-term project, and that is, like maybe hiring a lawyer to help you go through the contract for a franchise, totally worth it. So it's not a time necessarily to sign yet. It's not a time to jump in fully. It is a time, though, to keep working at something, because your profit window will be coming in the future. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned, because LaRue wants to say hi. Hey. What's up? Is there something you want to tell everybody? You want everyone to know that your bowl is empty? You want me to get up and get you some food? Is that it? Okay. All right. I will do it for you.